Well, I'll tell you what I think.
Limbaugh doubles down. The law student who wants her Catholic school insurance to cover part of her prescription birth control.
What does that make her? It makes her a slut, right? Makes her a prostitute. She wants to be paid to have sex.
So all women who don't pay 100% of their birth control costs are prostitutes? When at least 40 million women in this country use contraception? And that doesn't even count the ones using aspirin?
I think my reaction was the reaction that a lot of women have had when historically they've been called these types of names, and that really I think a lot of women across America have had to this. And that was initially to be stunned by it, but then to quickly feel outraged and very upset that again, on the first day of Women's History Month, on that day, a woman is being called these names in an attempt to silence me, to silence all of us from speaking about the health care that we need.
Republican Committee Chairman Darrell Issa said that Sandra Fluke was not qualified to testify on the issue of contraception coverage, but he said these guys were.
The GOP religion dictates love thy neighbor. Unless you happen to be African, Asian, Arab, or Mexican, poor, progressive, polite, or intelligent, Muslim, Jewish, Druid, or atheist, middle class, working class, teaching class, or attending class, well-spoken, well-worn, well-traveled, well anyone, and most especially unless you have a vagina. Ultrasound my ass.
So, Ms. Fluke, and the rest of you feminazis, here's the deal. If we are going to pay for your contraceptives and thus pay for you to have sex, we want something for it. And I'll tell you what it is. We want you to post the videos online so we can all watch.
Hey, Republicans, your little war on women has gone too far. I got a little secret to share with you. I have power, and this is how it works. First of all, I have a voice, and I'm going to use it just like this. I'm not taking your f***ing shit anymore, you f***ing assholes.
You see, when they're not alienating black people, minorities, Asians, Latinos, Muslims, LGBT Americans, and everybody who's not a white, wealthy, male Christian, they hate you for your uterus.
Here are some new rules for vaginophobes. All men who want women to be forced to undergo medically unnecessary transvaginal ultrasounds and look at images of a zygote before they terminate their pregnancy must submit to urethral dilation and cytoscopy. That means that your camera going up your penis just like you want probes going up into our vaginas. And look at images of their prostates before they are allowed to be treated for erectile dysfunction.
Some of the women who've talked to me, and especially the younger women, have said the arrogance of this body to try to tell them what to do with their bodies is an abomination.
These days, religion is not about spirituality or right and wrong. It starts becoming just this political thing, which really, that's not what it's about anyway. We're talking about our rights. We're not talking about spiritual religious beliefs.
They're trying to distract us while they hope the special interests rob us blind.
A Georgetown University co-ed told Representative Nancy Pelosi's hearing that the women in her law school program are having so much sex they are going broke.
I don't think he knows what birth control is.
This wasn't just one man who said these things. There was actually many conservative commentators in our society. In certain sectors, this is evidently still acceptable, and that's just very problematic.
You just take one pill every day. It's a prescription deal, right? You take a birth control pill every day, even if you're not going to have sex at all that day, or even if you're going to have sex 1,000 times that day. You just need the one pill for that day.
The GOP use abusive tactics such as humiliation, degradation, and an attempt to strip us of our dignity. Rush Limbaugh's despicable outburst and attack on Sandra Fluke is just representative of how many Republicans feel toward women and these issues. This has got to stop.
Why is it that the same people who want to control vaginas can't actually say the word vagina?
The Republican war on women is about control. Republicans think that women are not capable of making decisions for themselves, and they would prefer women not be allowed to make decisions for themselves. Sometimes I have to say no to my girlfriend's advances because I'm busy making videos about her right to use contraceptives.
I think this is about women's health. This is about accessible, affordable access to a basic healthcare service that prevents medical disasters and unplanned pregnancies.
What does that make her? It makes her a slut, right? Makes her a prostitute. She wants to be paid to have sex. She's having so much sex she can't afford the contraception.
I think that Rush Limbaugh thinks you take a birth control pill to avoid getting pregnant each time you have sex.
Does this uterus look like your place of worship? Then stay out of it.
I mean, these are the guys who talk about small government. They don't believe in regulating banks, but they can regulate your uterus.
So it's a little frustrating to keep hearing about how that, we need your dollars. We need your help. Because we want people to know who Jesus is. Hey, we know who Jesus is.
Hey, religious fundamentalists, let's make a deal. I'll support your anti-women's health law if you support my eunuch law. What's that, you ask? Let's clean the gene pool by requiring any man who opposes choice and or contraceptives for women be surgically changed to a eunuch. Do we have a deal? No? Then keep your laws off my body.
These guys are saying we know best. Government should be making these decisions about women's health. We've got it all figured out.
It's funny, I saw these guys lining up protesting men while they purchased condoms. Oh wait, that never happened.
I don't like the violent moniker war on women, but it's compelling. The Republican Party has commandeered Christianity, but Christian women in their late teens are becoming pregnant at rates higher than non-Christians. It's hypocrisy for this political party to promote family values, then oppose birth control and financial assistance for impoverished mothers. These may not constitute a war on women, but this sexism will lead to death, spiritual death, further divide in our communities, and the physical death of some women denied health care.
When one person's rights are denied, all of our rights are denied. And to be honest, if you really want to help cut down on abortions, maybe giving us access to contraception is the best idea.
I'm a liberal. And I'm also, like most people, against abortion. You know how I believe we can get rid of abortions? Free contraception. It makes abortions pretty much unnecessary. Besides, it's not like the churches in 28 states aren't already paying for it already anyway. In fact, insurance is something that we all pay for stuff we don't necessarily agree with.
The heart of this issue is the fact that you're bad at this, Rush Limbaugh. You don't even understand how babies are made, let alone how people can have sex without making a baby.
We know all of this is just a chipping away at the rights that we have fought for and won many years ago, and it's all headed towards trying to repeal Roe v. Wade. And so we're not fooled by this.
Second thing is I have money, and I'm going to donate it to campaigns of progressive women to kick your lazy, sexist asses out of Congress.
The Republican war on women can be summed up in a knock-knock joke. Knock, knock. Who's there? Isa. Isa who? Isa gonna lose the women's vote for good.
Mitt Romney doesn't understand what contraception is, and he is running for president.
Third thing is, and this is the most important, I vote. Millions and millions of American women vote. That's right.
You see, Republicans think they're running for national chaperone. Like the voting booth is a time machine that takes you magically back to October 10, 1955, back when women and blah people knew their place.
And you would like the government to take over decision-making on these issues on your say-so, and you don't get it.
What they don't realize is they're going to lose all of us, all the independents, all the people who don't buy Rush Limbaugh's nonsense, and they're motivating women to fight back.
I'm not taking your shit anymore.
For all you men out there who think it's just a great idea to have a woman go through a painful and uncomfortable procedure before she makes decisions on her health care, I have a different idea. Let's mandate that before a man can have sex, he goes through what I call a transtesticular ultrasound. It goes something like this. You put him on a table, you give him a whack. If you're still able to have sex, and if your partner's still willing, we're good to go.
There's a war on women. It's part of the same class war that we're up against on every other level. And I'm just wondering if there are any other minority groups left for the GOP to alienate.
Religion has been waging a war on women for thousands of years. I'm not talking about anybody's God. I'm talking about the men. And it wages on today. From men throwing acid in the faces of young women trying to get an education, to forcing a probe into women to impose their religious constructs on a procedure that's been legal in this country for almost 40 years. They say that women are the fairer sex. Perhaps someday religion will treat them fairly.
You know, Jesus talked an awful lot about getting up your wealth to minister to the sick and poor. And he didn't say one word about terminating pregnancies, preventing pregnancies, or beating up on gays. Zip, nada. That's the irony of all these politicians ignoring the Establishment Clause of the First Amendment. They're not even getting their Christianity right. And in getting it wrong, they've awakened a sleeping giant. And she is pissed.
If you can't say it, you can't probe it.
It doesn't matter how often you have sex.
Women, fight for your rights. This is 2012.
It has galvanized women all across the Commonwealth of Virginia, and in fact all across the United States. We're getting calls in from everywhere where women are united and they are going to push back.
You know, I don't know what else to say. I really don't. I just don't know what to say. So maybe you can just use this in the blunt video.
So to those Republicans who would like to make it more difficult for me to sleep with my girlfriend, I'd like to gladly say go f*** yourself. Thank you and have a nice evening.
We're the pimps.
And so, yes, Rush Limbaugh is a jerk. But more importantly, Rush Limbaugh is a dummy. And if you want government making decisions on childbirth and abortion and fertility and contraception, you being a dummy is a way bigger problem than you being a jerk.
That's pretty much it.